There has been exponential growth of technology in the last 50 years. It has allowed us to do incredible things, from the creation of cell phones to the extinction of certain diseases.
But has technology gone too far? In China, they have created the technology to genetically engineer people. Living, breathing people. The technology is called germ cell mutation, and it can be used to prevent certain diseases related to sex genes.
Not just for one embryo, but for its offspring too. In 2013, scientists found a way to do this using a system called CRISPR. The technology is actually based on the way bacteria defend themselves against viruses. When a bacterium detects that a virus has infiltrated it, it releases what's known as guide RNA, a strand of genetic information that contains a sequence that matches part of the virus's DNA. And attached to it is an enzyme called Cas9. The guide RNA acts like a homing device, leading the enzyme to the matching segment of viral DNA. When the two strands meet, the enzyme goes into action, acting like a pair of scissors to snip out that section of viral DNA, rendering it useless. Scientists discovered that they could imitate this process, modifying guide RNA to find any sequence of DNA in any organism, including humans. So theoretically, they could inject a segment of DNA that represents a healthy unmutated gene and use that to replace a mutated one in an egg or sperm cell. The genome of that germ cell would be permanently edited, and so would all of the cells in the organism that it went on to form.
Although this technology could end suffering from specific diseases, humans should not have the power to genetically modify humans because it can create worse and unpredictable diseases. It leads to the idea that every imperfection is a disease, designer babies, and may create a superior and entirely new race. This is not to say these diseases don't need to be cured. It should just be treated another way.
This CRISPR technology has been used in China and has been legalized and attempted in the UK. Out of the 86 embryos tested in China, only 26 were actually successful, and even the embryos that were successful weren't fertile. Not only that, but this idea of creating new genes can in fact create new mutations, meaning new diseases. Diseases our science may not be able to cure or treat.
Germline engineering is unpredictable. In an experiment on monkeys done at MIT, it only succeeded about 20 to 40% of the time. And when it doesn't work, it can accidentally delete parts of the genome that weren't targeted, potentially creating new mutations.
Humans do have the power to get rid of disease, but will create new, maybe even worse mutations and diseases that will endanger lives.
If someone is asked, would they want a healthy child or a sick child, no one would answer the latter.
But how would someone feel if you knew your child wouldn't be burdened with Huntington's disease, but maybe is stillborn because of a new mutation? If a child was born with even a worse incurable new disease, how would someone live with themselves knowing it was their fault? Like every piece of science technology, there is no doubt that CRISPR technology will eventually improve.
It may improve to the point where it can be done without horrific complications. But then, what counts as a mutation that science is allowed to cure?
Red hair started as a mutation. Do we weed out all the genes for red hair so no human is ever born with it after 2016? Mutations don't have to be rare to still qualify as a mutation. Freckles are a genetic mutation, cleft chins, green eyes, etc. Recently it has been discovered that sexuality is linked to genetics. If gay is considered a genetic mutation, do we fix it and delete gays from the future human race? It's quite a leap to say that humans would jump to perfecting everything about the human genome. But society is so obsessed with changing themselves to fit beauty standards, with makeup and plastic surgery, who's to say humans wouldn't start the change at birth? If someone had the power to change whatever they wanted about their child's genetics, and had the money to do so, and they've already opened the doors to the genes, why wouldn't they change this as much as possible? Then if worse comes to worse, what if the genetically modified baby doesn't live up to expectations? There are two possible outcomes for the use of CRISPR. Everyone has the chance to use it, or only the rich have the chance.
But what this actually means is, will the poor be at a disadvantage, or will families who don't want to use CRISPR be at a disadvantage? Either way, it will end in the same kind of segregation.
It's something humanity has never really had to experience before. This segregation has been shown in several science fiction works, including the movie Gattaca, the series The Hunger Games, and the book The Uglies. The societies depicted are all depicted as dystopias for a reason.
But this is quickly becoming a reality for some, those who believe in transhumanism. Transhumanism, a term coined in 2013 referring to the idea of improving the human race through the use of technology, specifically germ cell mutations.
The idea is to create super beings with practical immortality and a perfect state of well-being.
It gives everyone superior traits, creating an entirely new race.
This idea of creating a new race sounds awesome. Who doesn't want to be perfect?
There's nothing specifically wrong with creating a new race, for the human species is always evolving. However, we'd be evolving into unproductive clones of one another.
Everyone would be the same and there wouldn't be any competition.
The very important second problem is that if humans are already genetically perfect and always happy, there would be no motivation. It would put a halt to science research, new technology, and even art.
In the 1840s, Sir Francis Galton came up with eugenics, the idea of improving the human race through specific breeding. Galton thought that maybe if we could breed a superior race, the entire human race could improve and everyone would live longer, healthier lives. In the 1930s, Hitler took this idea and attempted to make the Aryan race his idea of a superior race. Hitler had hospitals for breeding his preferred race between nurses and his soldiers. Hitler didn't start with the idea to wipe out any group of people. He started with the same innocent idea of creating a better race. Now, roughly 60 years later, we do not have a healthier, superior race.
Instead, we have memorials of everyone that was lost during the Holocaust, and children in America are taught that Hitler was one of the most hideous dictators ever to walk the earth.
If we don't go to the same lengths as Hitler, what if the technology is turned around and used as a weapon for warfare? Several times throughout history, the US has turned a useful tool into a dangerous weapon. Phosphine was first used as a pesticide and then as a toxic gas in World War I. Dynamite was first used for carving mountainsides, which was later shaped and turned into grenades for World War I. What if CRISPR was used to put enemies at a genetic disadvantage, or even giving them horrific diseases? What makes us human is the diversity in that we aren't all molds of society's idea of perfection. Imperfection makes us special.
What makes humans diverse is the mistakes we are made with. Mutations mean something and can benefit the world. Humans were not given the power to change themselves for a reason. Messing with genetics opens ethical doors society is not ready to face.
Clearly, science is capable of doing incredible things, but it shouldn't deal with genetic modification. Science should find safer, more available ways to cure such horrific diseases like Huntington's disease.
Science should find cures that put less power into human hands, inevitably preventing further diseases, designer babies, genetic weapons, and a new human race.
What you're doing here, genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
I don't think you're giving us our due credit. Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think of this